Hi there traders, this is Steve Miley, the market chartist for FX Explained and our regular weekly update with our MacroWatch publication. Week commencing the 16th of November 2020, shares surge again as COVID vaccine cheer builds on the Biden bounce. So we're going to kick off in here with our macroeconomic and geopolitical developments recap for the past week. So what's been happening in here? Well, critically, Pfizer at the beginning of this week announced their COVID-19 vaccine produced extremely positive trial results, and this has boosted riskier assets in here flying to the upside, particularly the equity markets in here. Very, very positive reaction to that Pfizer announcement on their COVID-19 vaccine producing results of 90% efficiency. So very, very positive on that, and the whole world is cheering that one, right? We also had the Biden bounce. So Joe Biden was confirmed last weekend as president-elect of the United States, and the markets are liking that. They're liking that because there's likely to be a generous COVID-19 economic relief package, and also Biden going to be more conciliatory on the international states, building some bridges with Europe, with Asia, etc. On the other front in here, though, we still have the fact that there's going to be a mixed government. Very likely as a mixed government, the Republicans are likely to hold on to the Senate in here, and that's seen as positive for stocks, as it means then the Democrats won't be able to put through lots of maybe restricting measures on corporates. So again, seen as positive for the equity markets. What else has been going on? Well, we've had a difficult transition of power appears to be emerging. Trump not going easy. A lot of legal fights still going on, and Biden and the Democrats not able even to get in yet and start that transition of power. So that could be a slight negative for markets as we move through November and into year end. On the COVID case in here, European COVID-19 cases are reflecting lockdown measures that have been put in place over the past few weeks, with some of countries seeing significant falls in the number of cases, while others are seeing a plateauing or a slowdown in the number of cases in here. So that's a positive for Europe in here, lockdown measures appearing to be working. However, on the other side of the Atlantic, the latest case counts of COVID-19 in the US are surging, hospitalization surging, and it's a real worry, particularly with the issues around that transition of power as well. Elsewhere, the EU-UK trade talks are continuing. Some progress apparently made, but we've got another soft deadline in here in November. However, talks do still seem to be making some progress, and the pound is like that, popping higher against the dollar and the euro in here over the past week. And this week as well, we had the RBNZ were in play. They were less dovish than expected, kind of maybe even pushing back on the potential for a move to negative interest rates. So that's certainly been seen as a positive for the Kiwi dollar, which surged higher to a new multi-month, even multi-year high. So let's take a look at the global financial market development of the last week ending the 13th of November. Well, the Dow Jones has surged higher, both on that Biden bounce, plus on the back of the fact that we had that announcement from Pfizer. The real economy stocks, value stocks that were undervalued, and stocks that from the kind of real economy in here doing particularly well, and that's seen the Dow Jones surge significantly higher, whereas we've seen the Nasdaq in here dip back lower actually over the past week, and that's been because those kind of strong new era tech stocks are anticipated to maybe not do so well. Okay, so we're seeing a rotation. It's not that they're going to do necessarily any worse, but those Nasdaq stocks in here, those stocks that really pushed the market higher in this whole recovery phase and did well through the pandemic, now a question mark as to whether they're going to do as well in relation to maybe the old era value stocks. So the Nasdaq really reflecting that rotation. And the surge also being seen not just in the US but in Europe. The DAX in here getting close to the September peaks, a really strong surging rally from the DAX. Again, that kind of international, the better international flavour, the better international tone that we're seeing potentially from Biden, helping out European stocks. And the FTSE has sent some real bullish technical signals in here for the first half of November, really surging to the upside, going to multi-month highs. As we said previously, Kiwi dollar also hitting multi-month, multi-year highs in here on the back of the whole risk-on theme. All the commodity currencies doing fairly well initially on both the Biden victory plus the Pfizer announcement, and the New Zealand dollar also getting a kicker from that less dovish RBNZ. And you saw here the Australian dollar also pushing higher. Strength of the Australian dollar did dip back in the second half of the week, but a fairly firm close on Friday. And a similar story in here for this risk-on theme. Dollar yen was surged higher back last Monday on that Pfizer news in here. That's the yen losing ground, a weakening yen. Yes, we saw a setback in the latter part of the week for dollar yen, but dollar yen in here really reflecting in the FX space that dollar yen reflecting that risk-on theme. In the European markets in the FX space, we've seen the euro dollar more sideways in here, initially higher at the beginning of November, dipping lower last week, but then a rebound towards the end of the week. But the pound has certainly been firm in here, making new multi-week highs against the dollar in here, partially to do with US dollar weakness, but also pound strength on hopes regarding those EU-UK trade talks. Moving across to the commodity space, copper in here reflecting the risk-on theme as well, grinding back higher throughout November, a firm end to the week in here and pointing back up to those October peaks. And remember, those October peaks are multi-month, multi-year peaks as well. And then also in here, oil staged a solid rebound throughout November and last week on that Pfizer news in here, reflecting the risk-on environment. And again, despite a dip towards the second half of last week, still recovering strongly throughout November, the crude oil future. And finally, we'll take a look at gold. Well, gold plunged lower in the risk-on environment. This safe haven element of gold in here taking over. So a significant sell-off from gold in here when we got that announcement regarding Pfizer and the vaccine. So a significant setback in here. Gold's plunging back lower to lows seen back here from September. Let's take a look at for the week ahead, the week commencing the 16th of November 2020. So, COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations and deaths are still going to be in focus, particularly in the US with those numbers surging higher in here, and then also monitoring these kind of slightly better data that we're seeing out of Europe. Also, we're going to be looking out for any new vaccine announcements, anything further from Pfizer. Are we going to get anything from the AstraZeneca/Oxford University vaccine development? We're anticipating something maybe over the next 1 to 2 weeks in here, and also focus on Moderna as well, who are developing their vaccine. Maybe something coming through from those other two vaccine producers, as well as still focusing on any updates from Pfizer. We're also going to be looking at those transition of power developments. How easy is it going to be for the Democrats to move into the White House, and how difficult is Trump and the Trump team going to make it for them in this whole transition of power? On the central bank side, what do we have? Well, we have the Reserve Bank of Australia meeting minutes coming up on Tuesday, and then we have the PBOC, the People's Bank of China interest rate decision on Friday. So what are the key macroeconomic events this week? Well, Japanese GDP and Chinese retail sales kick off the week on Monday. We had those RBA meeting minutes on Tuesday alongside US retail sales. On Wednesday, we get UK, Eurozone and Canadian inflation data incorporating the CPI releases. On Thursday, we have an Australian employment report alongside the weekly US jobless claims. And then we get that PBOC interest rate decision on Friday alongside UK and Canadian retail sales. I'm going to wish you all a great trading week. Please do stay safe out there, and I'll be back with you very soon with another Macro Watch. So traders, don't forget to catch us on the next FX Explained Macro Watch and all the great content on fxexplained.co.uk.